Simon & Schuster Audio presents The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. How to free yourself and your family from a lifetime of clutter. By Margareta Magnusson. Read by Juliet Stevenson.
Forward. The only thing we know for sure is that we will die one day. But before that, we can try to do almost anything. You have probably been given this little book by one of your children, or as a gift from someone in the same situation as you and me. Or perhaps you've picked up a copy for yourself because it struck a chord. There's a reason for this. You have collected so much wonderful stuff in your life, stuff that your family and friends can't evaluate or take care of. Let me help you to make your loved ones' memories of you affectionate rather than upsetting. M.M. Chapter 1. Death cleaning is not sad. I am death cleaning, or as we call it in Swedish, dödstädning. Dö is death, and städning is cleaning. In Swedish, it is a term that means removing unnecessary things and making your home nice and orderly when you think the time is coming closer for you to leave the planet. It is so important that I have to tell you about it. Maybe I can also give you a few tips, since this is something that we will all have to face sooner or later. We really must, if we want to save precious time for our loved ones after we are gone. So, what is death cleaning? For me, it means going through all my belongings and deciding how to get rid of the things I do not want anymore. Just look around you. Many of your things have probably been around for so long that you do not even see or value them anymore. I think the term dödstädning is quite new, but not the act of dödstädning. It is a word that is used when you or someone else does a good, thorough cleaning and gets rid of things to make life easier and less crowded. It does not necessarily have to do with your age or death, but often does. Sometimes you just realize that you can hardly close your drawers or barely shut your cupboard door. When that happens, it is definitely time to do something, even if you are only in your 30s. You could call that kind of cleaning dödstädning too, even if you may be many, many years away from dying. I think women have always death cleaned, but women's work is not often in the spotlight and should be appreciated more. When it comes to death cleaning, in my generation and those older than me, women tend to clean up after their husbands first, and then they clean up before they themselves are no more. While one would usually say, clean up after yourself, here we are dealing with the odd situation of cleaning up before ourselves, before we die. Some people can't get their heads around death, and these people leave a mess after them. Did they think they were immortal? Many adult children do not want to talk about death with their parents. They should not be afraid. We must all talk about death. If it's too difficult to address, then death cleaning can be a way to start the conversation in a less blunt fashion. The other day, I told one of my sons that I was death cleaning and writing a book about it. He wondered if it was going to be a sad book and whether it made me sad to write it. No, no, I said. It is not sad at all. Neither the cleaning nor the writing of the book. Sometimes I feel a little uncomfortable with how unappreciative I am about some of the things I want to rid myself of. Some of these things have brought benefits to me. But I've discovered that it is rewarding to spend time with these objects one last time and then dispose of them. Each item has its own history, and remembering that history is often enjoyable. When I was younger, I never used to have the time to sit and think about what an object meant to me in my life, or where it came from, or when and how it came into my possession. The difference between death cleaning and just a big cleanup is the amount of time they consume. Death cleaning is not about dusting or mopping up. It is about a permanent form of organization that makes your everyday life run more smoothly. Now, when I'm not running around Stockholm enjoying all that the city has to offer, I have time to enjoy all that my apartment has to offer, which is a reflection of my life. The world is a stressful place. Floods, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, fires, and wars follow one another. To listen to the media or read newspapers makes me depressed. I would shrivel up if I could not combat the negativity of the world's news with good friends, experiences out in the natural world, music, beautiful things, or just enjoying something as simple as a sunny day, which can be rare in our northern climate. I would never, ever want to write something sad. There's enough sadness out there already. So I hope you will find the words and thoughts ahead helpful and entertaining, perhaps even humorous at times. To do your own death cleaning can really be very hard. Maybe you have to downsize your home for some reason. Maybe you've become single, or maybe you need to move to a nursing home. These situations tend to affect most of us at some point. Going through all your old belongings, remembering when you used them last and hopefully saying goodbye to some of them is very difficult for many of us. People tend to hoard rather than throw away. I have death cleaned so many times for others, I'll be damned if someone else has to death clean after me. Once someone is gone, things can be chaotic enough anyway, I can tell you. There are many sad stories about siblings who start to quarrel because they want the same item. This type of situation does not need to happen. We can plan in advance to lessen the chances of these unhappy moments. I had, for example, a lovely bracelet that my father gave to my mother a long time ago. It was given to me in my mother's will. The easiest way to avoid future complications among my children was to sell it. That was a very good idea, I think. Later, discussing the sale with my children, they were fine with my decision. They had each been given something that had belonged to my father and mother. But after all, the bracelet was mine to do with as I pleased. Taking precious time to discuss one bracelet with my 5 children seemed unreasonable. Death cleaning is about saving such time. Chapter 2. Why I am writing this book. I am now somewhere between 80 and 100 years old. I take it as a responsibility of my old age to tell you about my experiences because I believe this philosophy of death cleaning is important for all of us to know. It doesn't matter if it is your parents or friends and family who are getting older, or if it is about time for you to begin death cleaning for yourself. I have moved house 17 times within my own country and abroad, so I should know what I'm talking about when it comes to deciding what to keep and what to throw away, whether you are moving house, moving country, or moving to the great beyond. Although it seems to be mostly women who death clean, since they tend to live longer than their husbands or partners, sometimes, as with the family I grew up in, my father was left alone first. If someone has lived in a home for many years where children, grown-ups, relatives and guests have stayed and felt welcome, that same someone is often so busy that they never think of reducing the number of things in the household. And so the number of possessions in the home grows quickly over the years. Suddenly, the situation is out of control, and the weight of all those things can begin to seem tiring. Your exhaustion with all this stuff may appear out of the blue one day, when someone cancels a weekend visit or at dinner, you feel grateful instead of disappointed because you may be too tired to clean up for their visit. The problem is that you have too much stuff to deal with. It is time to change your way of living, and it is never too late to start. Chapter 3. Precious Time and Helping Parents. Today, of course, things are very different from when I was young. I did not say better, but the pace today is very fast. Many young families have to schedule their lives down to the smallest increment to have time to do what they consider most important. Do not ever imagine that anyone will wish or be able to schedule time off to take care of what you didn't bother to take care of yourself. No matter how much they love you, don't leave this burden to them. The first time I came across death cleaning was when I had to empty my parents' apartment after the death of my mother. My parents had been married for 46 years, and my father was not capable of taking care of everything himself when moving to a smaller apartment. Together, we picked out the furniture, linen, household utensils, knickknacks and paintings that would make his new home nice and comfortable. My mother had been a very orderly, wise and realistic woman. She had been ill for some time, and I believe that she suspected that she did not have much time left, and had therefore started to plan ahead for after her death. As I began to clean up their home, I found messages attached to clothes and many other things, small handwritten instructions as to what should be done with everything. Some parcels were assigned to charity, some books were to be returned to their original owners. An old horse-riding outfit should go to the Museum of History, it said on a note fastened with a pin on one of the jacket lapels. There was also the name of whom I should contact at the museum. Even if these small instructions were not addressed specifically to me, I felt consoled by them. I felt that my mother was there for me. She had really done some of her own death cleaning. I felt grateful, and it has proven to be a very good example for me of how to take responsibility for your things to make it easier on your loved ones after your death. My 5 children were between 1 and 11 years old at the time, so I was very busy. Because I had so little time, we decided to work with an auctioneer to clear out the house and to sell anything that my father did not want or need in his new, smaller home. An auctioneer may sound expensive and a little exclusive, but it really isn't. The auctioneer's commission is deducted from the items that are sold, so it was no cash out of my pocket or my father's. Under the circumstances, it was the best option for us. Auction houses are generally very helpful if you do not have friends or siblings to help you. The auctioneer's office had to take care of a lot. I remember that as soon as they started, it all went very quickly. I had to stop some of the movers carrying things down the stairs before the objects disappeared out of my sight forever. But I didn't take it too much to heart if a few too many things went to the auctioneers. I had so many things to take care of that were more urgent and complicated, such as my children's needs, my father's state of mind about the move, and our grief over the loss of his wife, my mother, that there was just no time to be too concerned with material things. And besides, I'd already made sure that my father had the basic things that he would need in his new home, such as household utensils and furniture. If a few too many things went to auction, it was not the end of the world. The most important objective was to hold on to the special things that my father wanted to have in his new apartment. We kept his beloved desk, where he placed a portrait of my mother, along with his favourite chair and a few paintings that he did not want to part with. Chapter 4. How to Begin. Be aware of the fact that to downsize your home will take some time. Old people seem to think that time goes so quickly, but in fact, it is we who've become slower. So if you are in your later years, do not wait too long. This new job of yours will not be accomplished any faster if you wait, but with a little practice and preparation, it will certainly be easier for you to make decisions about how to get rid of things. Trust me, the more time you spend going through your belongings, the easier it will be for you to decide what to keep and what not to. The more you work at it, the less time-consuming it will become. You might even discover the added bonus that it will feel wonderful to visit a rubbish dump and throw worthless things as far as you are able to. Start by checking the basement or the attic or the cupboards by your front door. These areas are great places to temporarily get rid of excess. Temporarily, well, many of the things you have in storage have probably been there for ages. You may even have forgotten what it is you have there. Good for you, because you will now realize that you will not miss anything if you throw it away. Have a look in these storage areas and start pulling out what's hidden there. It may be a dollhouse or ice hockey equipment, mostly things that you yourself did not want around anymore. Sometimes your attic has become so full that you're forced to put things in someone else's attic. Terrible! Who do you think will take care of that when you are no longer here? Tell your loved ones and friends what you're up to. They might want to help you and even take things you don't need, and also help you to move things that you cannot move on your own. You will see that a steady stream of people you like, or even dislike, will come to take things such as books, clothes, and utensils. Perhaps a grandchild or someone else you know is about to move into their first apartment. Invite them over, and you can show them your things and chat about them. Tell them stories about the objects, or perhaps even your life, that they do not know. Meanwhile, have some bags and boxes at hand that you can fill while you're chatting, so they can take stuff with them right away. Pictures and letters. Don't start with photographs, or letters and personal papers, for that matter. It can be both a lot of fun and a bit sad to go through photographs and letters, but one thing is certain. If you start with them, you will definitely get stuck down memory lane, and you may never get around to cleaning anything else. Pictures and letters that you have saved for some reason must wait until you have arranged the destinies for your furniture and other belongings. In general, when death cleaning, size really matters. Start with the large items in your home and finish with the small. Photographs carry such a weight of emotion that they will hinder your work, but they're also very important, so I've given them their own chapter later on in this book. Chapter 5. What to keep and what not to. The intention is not that we should remove things that make our lives pleasant and more comfortable, but if you can't keep track of your things, then you know that you have too much. I feel comfortable in a home that is reasonably orderly. I don't want anything that my eyes do not like. If I have a beautiful chair, I'm not going to put my dirty laundry on it. There must be something wrong with the way I've organized my home if I have to continually mess up the place that I originally worked so hard to decorate and keep orderly. Life will become more pleasant and comfortable if we get rid of some of the abundance. Chapter 6. Sort and sort out. When you look at your home, you probably see a bunch of objects that have only one thing in common. They belong to you. But in fact, most things you own have many things in common. Almost everything in our homes belongs to different categories. For example, you can classify them as furniture, clothes, books, linen, etc. There are, of course, many different categories in different homes. Golfers, gardeners, sailors, football players all have different inventories. Some of these categories are more difficult to handle when it comes to removing things from your home. Choose a category that you believe is easy for you to handle. An easy category is one that is extensive and without too much sentimental connection. It is very important that your first choice is easy for you. I do not want you to give up immediately. When you've managed to go through a couple of categories, you'll feel good. Very soon your home will become so much easier to look after. I'm sure that your family and friends will encourage you to carry on. I always choose clothes as my first category. This is easy for me since I know that I have many garments in my wardrobe that I seldom or never use. When I have death cleaned for other people, such as my parents, my husband, or my mother-in-law, I always started with clothes. They're often so specific in size that, unless you know a friend or loved one who is the same size, it is best to give all the clothes away. But if you're starting with your own wardrobe, sort all your clothes into 2 piles on your bed or on a table. Pile 1 is for clothes you want to keep. Pile 2 is for clothes you want to get rid of. Then look through pile 1 and pull out items that require small adjustments or dry cleaning. The rest you can put back in the wardrobe. Pile 2 is to throw or give away. When I saw my piles of clothes, I could not believe that I had bought them all. But I guess that birthday presents and Christmas gifts have added to the quantity. Some things are too small, some too big. If your figure has changed a lot over the last year, I would add garments that no longer fit to pile 2. Once, I managed to reduce my wardrobe by 2 dresses, 5 scarves, 1 jacket, and 2 pairs of shoes. A grandchild took a pair of shoes, and the rest I gave to the Red Cross. Wonderful. Our society more or less requires that we dress ourselves for different occasions, for everyday use, for festivities, for happiness, and for sorrow. We must also remember that our clothes help us to adjust ourselves to different seasons and work environments. Perhaps you are among those who are lucky enough to have a so-called walk-in wardrobe. But if so, you will also be unlucky, as you will have more clothing to air out, wash and take care of, and later dispose of. When I was young, I read a great article on how to arrange a low-maintenance wardrobe. The point was that it is not the amount of clothing that makes a person well-dressed. The article was all about choosing clothing carefully and then organising it well. I've actually lived with this advice for the rest of my life. Your wardrobe, as with everywhere else in your home, is all about organisation, so that you can quickly and easily find something suitable when you need it. In my opinion, all garments in a wardrobe should look good together, and you should be able to mix and exchange them with each other. Now, if you must reduce your wardrobe, it is good to take a few hours to go through it thoroughly to see what you can actually do without. There will certainly be impulse purchases and other things that do not really go with any other garments. When you look at your wardrobe as a whole, these are often easy to spot. Only keep those that you really feel you will wear, or if the sentimental connection is very strong. Sometimes a shock of colour or pattern against a simpler palette can indeed be refreshing to the eye and a joy to wear. I have a jacket that fits everywhere and nowhere. I bought it from a lady in a market in China many decades ago. It is a patchwork of many pieces of fabric and has embroidery representing funny fantasy animals. It is so colourful and carefully stitched together, a piece of joy made from recycled materials by someone imaginative. Was it the little lady in the market who made it? Maybe. I want to save this jacket because it makes me happy, and I wear it on Christmas Eve. But this is not a style manual. We must keep investigating, cleaning, organising, and sorting. Chapter 7. More organising. It is always much easier to death clean a home when it is well organised. By organised, I mean that all things have a place of their own. When your home is a complete mess, it is very hard to clean it at all. But it is never too late to do something about this messy problem. While you ponder where the thing you are holding in your hand belongs, perhaps you will find that you don't need it at all. Where I live, we have a club called Senior Net. It is a place where retired people, or actually anyone above the age of 55 with limited computer skills, can get help with their computer problems from retired and more capable elderly people. My helper was not happy with the disorder of my computer files. He looked at the screen and said, "This is like putting your toilet in the kitchen." So he helped me. He organised my files. I was 79 years old at the time, but I got the help I needed, and afterwards it was much easier for me to find my way through my computer. The same can happen to you in your home. You don't even need a computer to realize this. It's just a useful comparison, because in a computer everything is so logical and well organized. Chapter 8. It is no fun to play hide the key when you've hidden it from yourself. When my children were young, we had birthday parties where we used to play a Swedish game called Gömma nyckeln, or hide the key. Oh, what fun it was. I would hide the key, a big old key from the 17th century, somewhere in our home, and then let the kids loose. It was like hide and seek without some poor child having to hide in a cupboard and be forgotten. So I would hide the key, and when any of the children came close to the little treasure, I would shout, "You're getting warmer." Too far from it, and I would say, "You're getting colder." Such joy it was to play that game. But as an adult, it is no fun at all when you wake up in the morning and cannot find your glasses. And no one says you're getting warmer when you look for them. Time to get organised. In a home where you've been living for some time, it should be easy to keep some order. Still, I know families who live in a complete mess. I won't mention the names of my children here, but you know who you are. Mess is an unnecessary source of irritation. Even in a fairly small family, certain members wander about trying to find their keys, gloves, certificates, or mobiles, whatever. All of these things have something in common. They should, but don't yet, have a place of their own. Give everything a place, and you won't feel angry, irritated, or desperate when leaving the house. You will not find yourself standing by the front door so often yelling, "Where are my whatevers?" And for a change, and as an added bonus, you may also arrive on time. Most people clean their homes once a week. When you go through your home with a vacuum cleaner or mop, you will probably find things that belong somewhere else. Gloves on the piano, a hairbrush in the kitchen, a set of keys down the back of the sofa. Carry a bag with you as you clean the house, or wear an apron with a huge pocket. Whenever you see something that is not where it should be, put it in the bag or the apron pocket. When you are finished, you can show everything you have collected to the people you live with and ask them to put their things back where they belong. Some households have so many misplaced items that a bag or an apron pocket isn't big enough. These households need immediate organisation. I have always organised my homes and cleared my clutter, so an apron with a pocket works for me. My apron is very stylish, with a nice leopard pattern. In fact, it is such a nice apron that I want to wear it all the time, even when I go out to dinner. In a hallway, it is always helpful to have hooks for keys on a wall, and some baskets or boxes for gloves, hats, and scarves. If you live in a house with several floors, it saves time to place a basket on the landing of every floor for things that have to go up or down. But make sure never to put your foot in the basket. Once, about 10 years ago, I went on a sailing trip with a family for several days. Whenever everyone on board was ready to leave the boat for an hour or more, the cabin door needed to be locked, but no one could ever find the key from when we had last unlocked the door. Who had the key? Who had it the last time? Beautiful islands surrounded us, and yet every adventure off the boat began with a bad mood that affected us all, and was always caused by the hunt for the key. Imagine how a little hook for the key on the inside of the cabin door could have brightened our lives on board. Sometimes the smallest changes can have an amazing effect. If you find yourself repeatedly having the same problem, fix it. A hook costs nothing.
Alexa, stop.